Hello everyone, it's Riffraff Hornhelm, back again with another presentation for the Dwarven Vault. And today we have a character review for you. It's a pretty interesting character. It gives you a whole new perspective on the greater good. So I'm going to turn you over to our reviewer and I'll catch up with you after the review. Take care everyone. Enjoy. Today's character is a character by the name of Zendar. And Zendar is a paladin, and a pretty high level paladin, 16th level. And this is from the world of 5e, and it is a character who is a paladin, a lawful good paladin. Very interesting character. I got a very lengthy description of him and what he did and how he acted and what happened, and I thank you very much for that, Aaron. It was excellent reading. This sounds like a pretty cool character and some thought went into it. So he's a paladin. He dresses very typical lawful good paladin style, full plate mail, shiny, always doing good things, but there is a qualifier here. It doesn't have to be immediately good, but it does have to be for the greater good. You'd think that's not too tough to distinguish sometimes, but as you'll see, sometimes it can be a bit different. So he dresses, like I said, all shiny and clean and has a magical sword and various magical abilities, and he's 16th level, so he's not exactly new to the game. Takes a lot of work to get a character up to that level, let's face it. So what kind of things has he done? Oh, and I should specify here several things. Number one, Zendar is a human, and Aaron sent this to us from Corpus Christi, Texas, where it's sunny except when you have hurricanes. It's kind of a trade-off there, I think, but that's okay. Thank you very much, Aaron. So let's talk about some of the things that he's done. Let's talk about his epic success. His epic success, especially in the eyes of his particular deity, is pretty cool. They came into a city that was very closely controlled by the aristocracy, and was essentially not a representational form of government, an oligarchy. Okay, and when they came in, one of the things they saw on the very outskirts of the city, just outside the walls, was a huge orphanage, and the orphanage was packed with disheveled looking and starving children and very beaten down and unhappy. And Zendar, of course, was not happy about this being a paladin. I mean, first he went there and he gave them all of his personal treasure that wasn't necessary for him to live as a donation. But he was so distressed by what he saw that he prayed to his God and tried to figure out a way to help those poor orphans. And he found a way, a rather unique way from my viewpoint. He hired all the thieves in the city. Sounds kind of odd for a paladin, right? Well, hear the rest of the story. So he hired all these thieves, and the job he gave them was to rob the city treasury, bring the loot to him, and he would pay them a portion and protect them from prosecution. Of course, he didn't say for how long. So he encouraged all the thieves to do this, and they did. And they brought him money, and he paid them almost half of what they stole in order to pay for their services. It's a huge amount of money that he gave to the orphanage. And then, being a paladin, because it was for the greater good, he had no problems having the money stolen. after the thieves had stolen, for the greater good, he had them all arrested. He helped. And they were all thrown in dungeon, and the money that they had gotten was confiscated. Now, he didn't do this right away because, for the greater good, they needed to spend some of their ill-gotten gains and help provide a economic burst of activity for the city. So he let it go a week before he then got them all. And the money that was left, well, that went back to the treasury, except for the parts that had gone into the city and had been used to take everybody from lower income to at least middle income, which of course made them more generous. Number one, they were able to pay for their own children better, and number two, they were able to make sizable donations to the orphans. Worked out well for everybody. In a very intricate way, that's a pretty cool success story. That's really thinking through your character and finding alternate ways to get what you need. My hat's off to Aaron. Nice job. Of course, there's also the epic fail. Once again, for the greater good, probably was not. He decided, after being pursued by a beautiful princess, to help her older brother secure control of the kingdom from their evil father, who was plotting evil things for the population. This happened to be the largest and most important kingdom on the continent. And the king was very stern, but much beloved by the people. But, once again, for the greater good, it was better for him to be off the throne. So, he killed him. Well, that's when he found out that he'd been had. That the princess, when he went to go find her, was standing over the body of her brother and licking the knife. That's never a good sign. When there's human blood on the knife and you're licking it, that's a bad sign. Turned out she had been taken over by an evil demon and had used both her brother and father, and most especially our good friend Xandar, to change the world in her favor. So he was appalled when he found this out, but before he could do anything about it, he was captured. And he was placed in the deepest dungeon cell in the whole castle that overlooked this city. And it was specially ensorcelled to prevent him from being able to use his magic and escape. That's bad enough, right? Well, to make it worse, she kept him in there for a year and a day. And then after it was over, still bound in ensorcelled chains so that he could use none of his magic, he was paraded out of the kingdom. And as he was paraded through the city streets and then eventually through the entire kingdom, he had banners in front of him and criers saying, "Here is the paladin who killed your king for the greater good," and left her in charge. And he saw that in a year and a day, she had devastated the kingdom. The trees were dying. Smoke was coming up everywhere. The people looked horrible. In fact, some of them had started to change. They started to look like creatures, and that was horrible. And he was chased out of the kingdom, never to return. Now, of course, he didn't die or anything, and I understand there's more stories, and I got a hint of those in the writings that were sent to me, but that's a pretty epic fail. Now, of course, we have points for all of this stuff. So first off, on the epic success, we think that was pretty well done and well thought out and very cool. So we're actually going to give that a 9. After talking to all my Hornhelm colleagues, we thought that's what it deserved. Now, for the epic fail, that was a pretty epic fail. And once again, gelled well with the idea of the character and what he was trying to do and how he was structured. And we also decided that he deserved a 9. Now, the overall for this character, if you were to meet him on the street and, how is he, etc., in spite of this 9 on the last two, we'd actually only give him an 8 overall. So, 26. I think that's as good a score as we've ever had. So, my hat's off to Xandar, and Aaron, you brought us a really cool character. Of course, the last thing is would we want this character in the party? This doesn't gel very well with dwarves. Somebody who's got a broomstick up his ass and at the same time thinks for the greater good in a way that could be injurious to those around him is not somebody that we would really trust to have in the party. So sorry, we're going to leave you at the mall. Other than that, though, we really enjoyed reading about this character, so thank you very much, Aaron. And we want you to continue playing and sending us more interesting stories like that. This is a pretty cool character. I'd be willing to do this again. In the meantime, take care, everybody. And remember, I'm Red Hornhelm. You're not. So how was that? Like I said, it would give you a different perspective on for the greater good, right? Maybe not so good every time. Any case, I hope you enjoyed that presentation. We look forward to seeing you again real soon. If you liked what you saw, please be so kind as to hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends, shout it from the mountaintops. Well, maybe not that last part, but come back and see us again real soon. And remember, dwarves rock.